In this video, we will be tasting and talking about spring and summer harvests of Shan Lin High Mountain Oolong tea from Taiwan. Here we are doing a side-by-side tasting of spring and summer harvests of Shan Lin High Mountain Oolong tea 2022 to learn about how harvests vary from season to season due to the weather patterns during the growing season and whatever other influential factors may be at play. I have spring on my left and summer on my right. I brewed 9 grams of tea leaves in 150 milliliter tea judging cups for 1 minute 10 seconds on the first brew, and then 1 minute on the second and 1 minute on the third. We can see that the spring crop of tea is considerably darker, most likely indicating that the oxidation level was noticeably more, and the summer tea is noticeably less oxidized. We know that the spring growing season was slower than usual due to unusually cool temperatures during the early part of spring. It didn't really warm up here on a Taiwan standard until late May, basically after the spring harvest. So the leaves grew a little more slowly. They were a little bit more substantial due to their slow growth. It wasn't the typical real sprouting forth of spring that you usually get. So it was a slightly unusual spring crop. And that stands in contrast to the summer crop, which was a classic summer growing season. Plenty of rain and lots of sun, and the crop grew quickly. So they harvested it at a slightly less mature. Let's take a quick look at the leaves here. The leaves are quite similar. There's a little bit lighter shade of green in the spring crop, indicating that the leaves were a little bit older. And there's this more uniform dark shade of green in the summer crop, and the nuggets are slightly smaller. So looks like they picked when they were just reaching maturity, whereas spring they might have, well, I know actually that they delayed the harvest, and the leaves, even though they might not have been much larger, some of them probably grew larger and then just became more mature, obviously, having been on the tree for an extra week or more. When I brewed the tea, after I brewed, it's cooled down now. There was a definite, more of a softer pastry aroma coming off the spring. It's a little greener now, but still kind of a sweet, mellow, soothing aromatic profile. Yeah, summer has a much more lively, fresh herbal profile coming off the leaves that are now cooled down. But you can still get a good sense of their aromatic character. Yeah, I'd say the oxidation is reflected in the aroma of the leaves within the cup. Okay, let's go for it here. Because the summer is new and I've only tasted it a couple times, I'm going to start with summer to get that first hit of a tea that looks visually more delicate. Still buttery quality, fully cooled down now. Yum, creamy. It's fresh and very like complex and vibrant in its profile, but ice creamy kind of aromatics coming off and going up into my sinuses. Much deeper, how do you describe that? A denser flavor profile in the spring tea. Foresty almost. Sort of similar. The summer is just lighter and fresher. Yeah, I would say there's more delicate complexity in the summer tea. Definitely more delicate than the spring tea. The spring tea is quite bold and full flavored in comparison. Pastry, savory, a little bit of savory. Of course, the spring tea, even though it's been packaged, vacuum sealed since early May, that's June, July, August, 3 months later, it does transform to an extent. These are unroasted leaves and they haven't been put in the oven to dry at all. So there is this subtle transformation, particularly in the aromatic profile. Let's go to the second brew here. Something that could be classified under the general term post-oxidation, post-production oxidation. Yeah, the aromatic profile is not as vibrant. It's got a very soothing and thick feel to it and a kind of satisfying body. Much more light and refreshing, kind of fitting for summer when it's, you know, hot and you want something that's just cooling and refreshing. A very nice, complex, it tastes a lot like spring tea classically. A lightly oxidized high mountain oolong from spring harvest. Third brew holding out. I mean, it should. This is roughly a 1:15 ratio. These cups are packed with tea leaves. I'm sure I could brew it 5 times and still be satisfied. Good high mountain tea. I'd say the summer, in terms of Taiwan standards, summer is a more classic high mountain tea. Lightly oxidized, it's not green in its character. I don't think vegetal at all. I get sweet, floral, and just a complex, delicate overall profile coming off it. Spring is much more creamy, pastry. So spring has more substance and more maturity, more depth, more constitution. Summer is really nice. Yeah, I don't think herbal even. Definitely not vegetal and not even a green herbal. I don't get much green quality from it at all. I mean, maybe a very delicate, fresh, savory herb. There we go. There's considerable differences between the two harvests. Again, you have to take into account that spring has been around for a few months. Summer is less than a month, only a few weeks ago. If you have the opportunity to do this in whatever format, you don't need all these bowls and these particular cups. Just brew them side by side or even back to back, one after another, or you know, one day this and the other day the next harvest, to compare and contrast what is offered, only varying the seasonal differences. Same farms, same factory, same tea makers. It really is fun that way to get to know a tea year round. And last but not least, the summer, what we call the in-between harvests, both summer and fall, are considerably, they're sold on the local market here in Taiwan for considerably cheaper than spring and winter. That's a kind of a remnant of the initial marketing strategies that were implemented 30 years ago when high mountain tea was the craze, and when the climate was a lot different. That's a fact. I can attest to that personally. It used to get cold here, especially at elevation in the winter. That really doesn't happen anymore. And the actual weather patterns, not only temperature, but weather patterns like we had in spring, cooler temperatures, enough rain, but not like the typical early spring plum rains until later. Everything was just delayed. Summer remained cool enough until July. It still hasn't gotten very hot here, occasionally, but right now it's pouring out. This is typical for the last month. Afternoon thunder showers, cool nights, bright sunny mornings. That's a pretty good combination for tea overall, especially at higher elevations like this farm is at 1,500 meters. Check it out. Summer 2022 harvest of Shan Lin High Mountain Oolong tea from Taiwan on the shelf now. Get it at the best price you're going to get it all year, which is definitely a plus. Thanks.